Sorry to say that I'm having some problem here related to my electricity or power. It is getting cut off again and again, so I have to do live streaming like this. So sorry for interruption. I'll figure out some ways where I can continually without having any interruption. I will try to make a live so that yeah, there shouldn't be much like interruption. Like it took me almost 30 minutes to just to say the things, but right now I'm gonna read as it is, like whatever I'm gonna see here. Like if I go again and if I see, then I'm able to see it very properly. So welcome to my fourth day of challenge, reading every day for 91 days. So it's fourth day. Let's start reading third chapter of Insights, Mindsight, which we started before 2 days ago. Earlier, like I did first day as a random like test. I can say test challenge. But today I'm going to read third chapter of Mindsight as we have been reading this book for 3 days. So like since I guess 24th October 2025, and now it's 26th October and it's third day of the same book Mindsight. So welcome to my live stream of reading challenges for 91 days. So let's begin. So I'm gonna start reading it, and you are gonna listen or you are gonna read simultaneously. It's up to you. But if you are listening to me, that's awesome. Like there were one of my what I say. I did one live stream like for test live streaming. I guess, and just because of that, it happened that I was not able to make it correctly, like not correctly I can say, like it was there was a problem related to some electricity and the power, so I was like not able to do it properly. But somehow I'll try to read it, and after like this live streaming I'll try to figure out tomorrow that what I can do so that my live stream shouldn't be interrupted just because of something else or something like that. So I'm trying now to read it, so let's begin. If you are listening, whoever is listening, just comment or chat it out so that I can understand who is there if they are listening it. And so thank you for being with me. And I'm going to start my reading challenge from now. Like it's fourth day. But before that, concurrent views. There is zero concurrent views. Views once. I guess someone came and went back, but let it be. But before that, what I have to say is that as this channel is not only related to doing like reading or all those things, it's more related to improving oneself. As I always says that it's related to improving myself. So yesterday what I was doing, I was trying to edit a video so that I can upload it, and I learn some of the things. How I learn, why I'm trying to say this, because as I'm reading, it's my fourth day of challenge. But before that, I have to say some of the things that happened yesterday with me, like what I did and all those things, because I have to introduce those things as well, because I want to say all of those, like how I am doing the things and how I'm improving, that I want to show basically. But those will be in short kind of videos, short in the sense like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I'm not gonna do lives, or might be I will do live of those as well, like live streaming, so that you can also watch it. That's the thing. Like what I'm going to do, let's say if I'm learning something, learning in the sense, let's say I want to create a video and I want to upload it, but in order to upload a video you need to have solid, not solid, but at least basic edit skills, so that you can edit and make it accurate, so that people can at least watch at it. You can create thumbnails and all those things. I'm gonna do that, all those things, but I don't have those skills. So I'm gonna show those as well, how I am learning those things and how I did those things, so that you can also watch it, you can also see it, and you'll be able to see it, so that you'll also get some kind of motivation. That's the basic purpose of this video, these challenges, this channel, all about it's related to growing oneself. So that I want to do. So let's begin our fourth day challenge. I'm gonna read and I'm gonna sometime I'm gonna explain, sometime I'm gonna talk to you. If you have any doubts or something, you can like text here. Let me go to the book. So here we have third chapter, leaving the ether dome. Where is the mind? Without mindsight, life becomes defendant, not a defendant, dead end. If I don't know its meaning, I can look its meaning. Defendant, dead end, makes less intense, deprive of power of sensation, numb, staffile, dull, something like that. And if I have to look its pronunciation, how I look it pronunciation,
Deadened.
myth, deadent in the sense it's kind of dead. Without mindsight, life becomes deadent. When we find ourselves in a culture in which mindsight is absent, we can become stuck in a physical domain, blind to the internal reality at the heart of our lives. If the leaders of culture are themselves devoid of mindsight, then the young emerging minds of that culture will be living in a world in which the blind are leading the blind. Here I would like to share with you the experience of student immersed in such a mindsightless world. My introduction to the culture of modern medicine. I first visited Harvard Medical School on a cold, grey winter day, and to young man from Southern California, the bleakness only added to the authority of the huge stone buildings. Rigorous, demanding, challenging. Harvard was the mountain, and I wanted to climb it. During my first 2 years, however, I was painfully and repeatedly reprimanded. Let me check its meaning as well as its pronunciation, how it pronounce.
Reprimanded.
Reprimanded. And if I go and check its look up, rebuke, especially an official one. Rebuke, especially an okay. Sometimes I don't understand the meaning, but as we are reading book of minds, book of brains, then might be yesterday if you are there, you would have to get to know that if you are reading something or if you are working on something, then for that particular thing your brain like develops neurons for those kind of activities. So it's more related to like that. You don't have to force yourself to understand each and everything. You just have to focus on the things. You just have to be present for that particular thing. Let's say if I'm reading a book and in that book I have some words which I literally don't understand, then I don't have to force myself that I should get those things or I should know those things. I just have to look for them. You have to read of them. You have to understand its meaning. If you are not able to understand its meaning, you can go into deep. You can understand like word by word, like what does it mean. Let's say if I'm going to see its, again let me check its meaning, what does it mean. A rebuke, especially an official one. So I don't know the rebuke means, so you can look up to rebuke as well and try to understand its meaning. Then wholly you will be able to understand, you will be understand its meaning in complete sense. But if you don't want to see rebuke and want to understand all of those, you just read it continually. It doesn't matter if you understand it or not right now, but after a certain period of time, whenever you get to know reprimanded for in another sentence or in another situation, then somehow you'll get to know about it. That's how our mind works. So let me start reading again. As sometime like I just thought, not a thought. I'm thinking more like reading is related to discussion. Like I'm gonna read and I'll discuss the things with you. That is how I'm thinking, so that I'll make it more understandable, more interesting. For now it's not interesting, it's kind of like I can say boring, because I do believe in one thing, that if you are saying something to your brain, then definitely it will listen and it will behave like that. But if you say something in a positive way, like there are, like right now there are two words I have to choose between. Like one is boring and another one is interesting. If I'm gonna say boring, then my brain somewhere, like the subconscious mind, is listening it. Subconscious mind in the sense the neurons and all those things, our brain works like behind the scenes. See, yesterday also I said, yeah, I'm not gonna make the filler words, but even though I'm making it, but somehow I'm noticing it that I'm making the words like those. So I have to like figure out that as well, how I can not make those words. But besides that, what I was telling you, our brain works uh, behind the scenes, and it automatically try to find out the things. So what I'm suggesting here, in my experience, that you don't have to force yourself, you don't have to like see what exactly does it mean. You have to just go with flow, you have to just see. If you are able to get it, then get it. If you are not able to get it, then just go with flow. After a certain period of time, whenever that same thing comes again, then you will be able to understand the things very easily, because somewhere in your past you had that thing in your mind, but now again that thing came again, and you started to make it sense more, like more than earlier. I can say like that. So what was reprimanded means reprimanded. I'll check its pronunciation again, because I want to have it like very solid pronunciation. I'll try to make accent, American accent. So sorry for that. Some people don't like, but I'll do it and I'll make it very interesting, so that people can understand, people can learn, people can like it, people can love it. So that's my thing here.
Reprimanded.
Reprimanded. For a peculiar interest of mine, spending time learning about my patients' life stories and inquiring about their feelings during patients' interviews, I remember one report I made to a clinical supervisor. A 16-year-old African American boy seemed severely depressed by his diagnosis of sickle cell anemia. Anemia. What I read? Anemia. It's not anemia. It's anemia. So sometimes what happens, if you are reading in your own way in the sense, if you are reading unconsciously, like I've been reading for a long time. It's been like more than 10 years, I guess. I've been reading it, and I'm used to read very fast, not very fast, but I can say used to reading. Like whatever comes to in my reading sentence, I read it as I think of it as like some words which is very familiar to me. But it's not like that. If you are reading unconsciously, then it's more like you won't be able to understand your exact word in the sense, here I read anemia, which doesn't make any sense. It's anemia, because I was reading unconsciously. I have to concentrate on it, I have to look each words word by word, so that I can understand it. One more thing, I need to check the live streaming, how is it going. No one is listening. There was one person who came and went again, so it's okay. But we'll start, like we'll continue doing it. Might be there will be some people who will join, but let's see. It's more related to interest. It's not like of what I'm doing or how I'm doing. Yeah, there is some percentage of like I can say credit that will go to me, because if I'm going to make my live stream very interesting, then people will listen it, then people will like it, then people will love it, and they will stay here longer. But if I'm not gonna make it interesting, then yeah, it will be like oh, who is gonna listen it, because you are just making people like kind of listen to you. There was one word that was coming to my mouth, but I'm not gonna say it, because my brain is listening to me, and I'm not gonna say negative words to myself, so that it shouldn't behave on that. I will say only on positive words like interesting I'll make this interesting, and it will definitely make it interesting after a certain period of time. I do have to believe on it. There is also one more thing that you have to believe. If you are gonna believe, then definitely things will work. Otherwise, it won't work. So let me start reading it again where I was. Anime. And I discovered in talking with him that his older brother had died of the disease after a long and excruciatingly painful decline just 4 years earlier. Somehow, no one had told him that his prognosis has much better, both because he had been diagnosed earlier than his brother and because treatment had improved. He and I had been able to put words to the terrifying images of his brother's experience that were still in his mind, and together we created a more hopeful view of how things might work out for him. My superior was a gastrointestinal specialist, Daniel. She said her head cocked to one side as if she thought I was lost or confused. Do you want to be a psychiatrist? No, I said. Now I am just a second year student and I have no idea what I want to do. Actually, I had been thinking about pediatrics as a specialty since I loved being with children. No, but I wasn't going to mention that to her. Daniel, Daniel, let's see his pronunciation. Daniel.
Daniel.
Daniel. Daniel, she said as she cocked her head to the other side. Is your father a psychiatrist? No, I told her. He's an engineer. No, but that didn't seem to satisfy her either. You know these questions you are asking about the patient's feelings, about their lives. Now, this is the work of social workers, not the doctors. If you want to ask about those things, why don't you just become a social worker? If you want to be a real doctor, you need to stick to a physical. You need to stick the physical. My supervisor was telling me she wanted only the results of the physical exam, but in reality, she was prescribing a worldview. She was not alone. The medical system at that time was focused almost exclusively on data and disease. Perhaps this was my teacher's way of dealing with the overwhelming feelings of facing illness and death every day. Our feelings helpless, at times incompetent or not in control. But to me, their teaching seemed misguided and wrong. The patient's feelings and thoughts, their hopes and dreams and fears, their life stories seemed just as real and important to me as their kidneys, or lives, or hearts. Yet there was no one and no science to show me a different way to survive those early years of medical intro. I'll check its meaning as well as pronunciation.
Indoctrination.
Indoctrination. Indoctrination.
Indoctrination.
Indoctrination.
Indoctrination.
Indoctrination. I'll check its meaning. The process of teaching a person or a group to accept a set of beliefs uncritically. Okay. To make another person to believe on something. To survive those early years of medical indoctrination, I simply went along. I was young and eager to please my teachers. So I did the best I could to fit in with the system. I am sure there must have been other students and professors who did not subscribe to the Mindsight list worldview, but I couldn't find them. I once even tried to join the women's medical student organization, saying that I too needed humane role models, but I was told that men changed the dynamic in the room, and I was politely but firmly asked not to intrude. During my second year, my clinical rotation took place at Massachusetts General Hospital, and some of our classes were in the amphitheater.
Amphitheater.
Amphitheater, where anesthesia had been introduced into modern medicine more than 100 years before. I recall looking up at the dome that covered the hall and staring blankly up into space and then down toward the far wall where a painting of that first surgical procedure hung in clear view of all the students. There the patient was laid out cold on the table, numb to the feelings inside the no, oblivious to the black coated men gathered around him. And the hall was known as the ether dome, and I felt as if I too were being etherized. Sometimes what happens whenever I read at the time I feel nervous or I think about something else in my mind, and just because of that I won't be able to like read it properly. That's how it works. And as well as right now while speaking to you, I'm thinking one more thing, that how my body language is behaving, or how I am looking in the camera, what is my behavior and all those things. Like somehow it is like I'm thinking of those things. People are joining, I guess, or not. No, it's not joining, but it was around 9 o'clock, so I saw that. So no one is here, so no problem, I'll start reading. Because like how I started, let me tell you one thing, how I started doing one this challenge, doing live streaming every day, because I was reading earlier like every day 3 hours reading. So I thought just take this on YouTube, as earlier I said on another videos, another earlier live streamings, that I started doing it because I was reading a book, and I thought that let's take this on live streaming so that people can also utilize it, and I'll also grow with you as well as you will also grow with me. So that was my basic purpose. So let me go back and read it again. No, I felt as if my art were being etherized, disconnected from my inner world, cut off from some living part of myself, and rapidly going unconscious. Even my body was going numb. I recalled taking a shower and feeling nothing, and I had stopped going to the lively dance free nights every Wednesday night in a church across the river, something I had loved. I felt disengaged and lost, dead. Without quite understanding the reason for my disillusionment, I called the dean of students and told her that I was dropping out of school. She listened kindly, and when she asked why I wanted to stop, I told her that I wasn't sure. I told myself that I had to leave to find my sense of direction. In reality, it was to find my own mind. The dean persuaded me to take a year's leave of absence instead, and she instructed me to write the research request necessary to justify my break. I wrote that I was going to do research on who I was. Now, luckily, there was a job opening for that position. My research took me around the continent, from New England to British Columbia to Southern California. I tried out a number of careers, including professional dance and choreography, carpentry, and almost salmon fishing. Let's check its meaning and pronunciation.
Salmon.
Salmon, a large edible fish that is popular game fish. Okay, it's fish. Salmon fish. Salmon fish fishing. I now imagine that the research I had done in college studying the molecular mechanism salmon used to transition from fresh to saltwater living was symbolic of some deeper interest in how we develop and change. On Vancouver, let me check its meaning again.
Vancouver.
Vancouver. Okay, see how it's different. Vancouver, what I was reading. Vancouver, a city and a port in British Columbia. Oh, it's a city. On Vancouver Island, facing the wild Pacific on the western coast of British Columbia, I met a man who worked on the boats. Fishing, he told me, was all about getting up at 3 a.m., bending over the side of freezing boat for hours. You were back, killing you, throwing out fish hooks and pulling them in until your hands are crippled. Then he announced that he himself was quitting and going back to graduate school in psychology. And that encounter sent me back to my hometown, where I reconnected with friends and family and helped my grandmother during the illness and death of my grandfather. Finally, I got a job working with some documentary filmmakers who were taping the performing arts program at UCLA. Let me check its pronunciation. What does it call?
UCLA.
UCLA. Program at UCLA. And they also asked me to assist with a research project about the left and right sides of the brain, and that was it. I couldn't stop thinking about the mind, about our lives, about what makes us who we are. Now, this was a path I could follow. I might become psychiatrist after all. I felt ready to return to Harvard, and I was determined to remain somehow as clear and connected to myself and others as I had felt during my year away. The capstone of my third year of medical school was the crucial clerkship in internal medicine. How well you did in the clerkship was reputed to determine your professional future. I was at a lecture when my superior, supervising resident a few years ahead of me in her training, came into the classroom, tears in her eyes, and whispered to me that Mr. Quinn, a patient I'd been caring for, had just died. I got up and went with her to his bedside. We stood there together for a long time. He had been a festy merchant marine, his face
Roughened.
roughened from years at sea. I used to sit with him after those long days at the hospital, soaking up his stories, listening to his feelings about his impending death. He knew that his 70 years on the planet were coming to the end, to an end. His adventurous almost over. Now his life story was complete, and the resident and I shared our reflections as we stood by the body that had sailed his ship at sea. That afternoon, I met with the senior attending physician for my mid-rotation student progress review. He was quite an imposing figure, tall, black bearded, and a handsome and oncologist who told me that I was doing a fine job in my clerkship, except for one thing. He noticed that I had left the teaching rounds that morning. I told him about Mr. Quinn's death and about how my resident and I had wanted to stay with him until the orderlies came to take his body away. Then the physician said something I will never forget. Daniel, you have to realize that you are here to learn. Taking time away from learning opportunity is a big problem. You have to get over these feelings. Patients just die. There is no time for tears. Your job is to learn. To be an excellent doctor, you have to deal with just the facts. I thought that my screen is not visible, so that is why I was on my YouTube live streaming, so that I just wanted to confirm if it's correct or not. So let me go back again. I just wanted to confirm that if it is visible or not by leaving, by looking at my live streaming itself. So let me start reading it again. The next day, I went to Mr. Quinn's old room to admit a new patient. There, I found one of my favorite science instructors sitting on the bench. He smiled at me and said, "Well, I guess this disease can happen to any of us." He had developed acute leukemia, and I was supposed to begin preparing him for bone marrow transplant. My face filled with intensity. First tears, which I held back, then fear, which I could not bear so intense, and finally, stern resolve, a steely, iron feeling of focus. I committed my mind to get over my fear and sadness, and I just attend to the detail of what needed to be done. I ordered the necessary lab work, carefully administered the chemotherapy, watched closely for side effects, and intensely monitored my teacher or patient's progress. I went to the library and gathered all the research facts I could about his form of leukemia, the treatment, and the prognosis. I presented these papers and the clinical case to my team of fellow students, residents, and supervising physicians on teaching rounds in the patient's room. And besides his door, I discussed the technical details of the case with my attending and residents. Just the facts, no feelings. I was careful not to spend much time talking with my patients. He was the sick one. I was the doctor. What was there to talk about anyway? So let me tell you one thing. As I was reading this particular paragraph, at the time I was thinking about that when this is going to be end, when my 2 hour is going to end, when I'm gonna be free myself here. So what I'm trying to hear, whatever you are going to do, there will be lots of time that you are gonna think of that. Oh, I should complete this soon. I should like do like whatever you are doing and you wanted to have just that things to be done, you just think about it like you have to finish it somehow. You have to like you are just frustrating yourself by just thinking about it, that when it is going to be end, when it is going to be completed soon. But it's not like that. If you have decided reading 2 hours, then just try to be concentrating on that particular thing, just try to focus on that, just be present at that moment. But sometimes it's very difficult to be present, to just talk about that, just to be involved into that. So it's like you have to have very much willpower just to do that. So instead of having willpower, what you can do, you can enjoy the conversation, you can enjoy the reading it. You don't have to think that you have to complete it. You just have to think like you have to just read it, you have to just be in present, you have to just explain the things. This is how you are going to read it. And one more thing, that why I'm telling this, because everybody's having the same thing. Everybody wants to finish, like let's say if they wanted to complete a book, they wanted to really complete book, but the thing is that they want the result, they want the rewards of completing that book, but they don't want it they don't want it like enjoying the process. It's not about their problem, it's about our brain. It's only about our brain. Like our brain tends to have only rewards, like cue, rewards, and routine. If we made our routine very good, then definitely reward will be automatically will be there because we are going to finish the book. But right now what is happening in me, in my brain, is that I just want to complete my 2 hours. Once I completed that 2 hours, then I'll be able to feel good because I have that reward of completing 2 hours. And just because of that, what is happening, I'm not able to concentrate on whatever I'm reading here. So what I'll try to do, I'll read as much as possible so that I'll be immersed in my reading. So I have to figure this out as well. I'm seeing most of the thing that I have to figure out, but I need to check my videos again. I need to see what I have to figure out. So I have to figure out how I can read, how can I make it very interesting so that I can't think of my 2 hours. I just have to read, and it will eventually complete my 2 hours. That's how it will work. So let me try it again. How I will be reading it so that I'll be immersed in reading itself and immersed in my live streaming. Like will talk to you like it's like kind of communication. I'll make it more like satisfying. Like if I made routine very satisfying, routine very present, like if I'm being immersed in reading, then definitely my 2 hours will not be like no longer, like it will be like very easy, very quick. After sometime I'll get to know that, oh, it's been completed, like my all 2 hours. So that is how it will work. I don't have to think that when my 2 hours will be going to end, when I'm going to read this book completely. This is how I'm thinking, but it's not like that. You don't have to think like that way. Like you eventually are gonna think like that because our brain works like that. But in order to not to think about that, you have to make your routine very rewarding. Not rewarding actually. Completing 2 hours in itself, it's a rewarding, but to complete those 2 hours, you have to make a routine very interesting. You have to make routine very present, like you have to merge in your present, then only you will be able to complete those 2 hours. So this, like whatever I think of or whatever I had in my mind, I just said that so that I can like have good communication with you as well as improve my communication. Let me check again my live streaming if it's going good or not. Yeah, it's going good and no views. No problem. Let me be clear. And intentional and temporary, just the facts. Orientation can be very useful stance to track at specific times, but temporary is the key, not a way of life. Ah, one more thing. As I said that you don't have to think about, like you have to complete your 2 hours. You have to get that reward of completing 2 hours. I told my brain somehow. I said that you don't have to like wait for completing your 2 hours. You just have to enjoy your readings. And somehow I guess my brain is getting that. Like I'm feeling it like that. Might be you'll think that I am getting very weird, but it's like that. It is happening. I don't know why it is happening. But if it is happening and if I'm going to read it like that, like being immersed in reading only, being immersed in live streaming only, then it's kind of yeah, it's the truth. Your brain listens you. Your brain works whatever it says, works at whatever it says. So just try it out. I'll try it out. Yeah, that's amazing. Let me be clear. And intentional and temporary, just the facts orientation can be a very useful stance to take at specific times. But temporary is the key, not a way of life, but a way of adapting intentionally in that moment to a situation that requires that we act incisively and efficiently. To compartmentalize in this way is in itself a rigorous form of mental training. One more thing. I'm sorry to interrupt again and again. I'm like started talking in between of my reading because of some of like sometime because of my thinking. Sometime right now like I'm getting so much background noise from my side, so it could be that you are also able to hear it. So please ignore that and read with me. You can also read loudly so that you can hear your own voice. You can also be immersed in yourself, and it's very easy if someone is reading for yourself and you are really interested just to listen and see, then you'll be able to listen it. That's how it works. Our brain is very less, it don't want to consume much energy if something is getting very easily. So that's how it works, and you can like take advantage of it. I'll invest my energy because I'm doing live streaming and I want to improve a lot in like in 3 months, so that is why I'm doing all those things. If you are being wheeled into the operating room, you want to encounter a confident, calm, task oriented surgeon, not one who is upset or in tears. Even as parents in the face of a crisis, we need to focus our minds clearly on the problem at hand. Mindsight can allow us to ascertain that in such a situation, becoming upset or over identifying with another person is not adaptive, and it can help us direct our attention to what needs to be done. But it can also help us to stay present with our own internal life and attuned to others. And to acknowledge our feelings full mind, the invisible and richly subjective part of our lives. Now, when my internal medicine clerkship was finally over, a covered excellent final grade was added to my record, and inside I felt nothing. My heart was made of wood, driftwood, rotting on the shore, and the waves lapping at the edge of a sea I no longer knew. The author had returned. 25 years to the very week after I made the decision to drop out of medical school, I found myself back in Etherdome. The situation was a bit different. I had, after all, trained as a pediatrician. Let me check its pronunciation.
Pediatrician.
Pediatrician. And psychiatrist, and I had been invited there all those years later to deliver a keynote address on the importance of emotions and stories in the development of health. Now my 15-year-old son, traveling with me on this lecture tour, was there in the audience, and I was filled with feelings I can hardly describe, of gratitude, of relief, of appreciation that so much had changed. Over the last quarter century, science has opened a new window into the nature of our lives. We can state definitively that the mind, though not visible to the eye, is equivocally,
Unequivocally.
unequivocally,
Unequivocally. Unequivocally.
equivocally, unequivocally, unequivocally real medicine too has progressed since those days. Now, Harvard Medical School has changed, and many programs today give at least some attention to notions such as empathy and stress reduction in student. Physicians and the importance of seeing the patient as a person. I would have had a much better experience becoming a physician with such internally focused, well-rounded curriculum. The fields where I spent my own working life, pediatrics and psychiatry and psychology, have each allowed me to dive deeply into the mental scene. After a research fellowship that enabled me to study attachment, memory, and narrative, and to explore the ways the mind develops in families, I became an educator in the field of mental health. There in the Ether Dome, I was delivering a lecture about the nature of the mind and the importance of the Mindsight in health. Now, I was also able to ask the audience a question one I have now asked in talks to nearly 80,000 mental health practitioners, from psychiatry to psychology, in the social work to occupational therapy. As I began, I asked for a show of hands during your training. How many of you attended a course or lecture defining the mind or mental health? The responses were easy to count. In numerous countries on four different continents, in lecture halls around our globe, the same statistic has emerged again and again. Only 2 to 5% of people in these fields have ever been given even a single lecture that defined the very foundational of their specialty, the mind. Now, for them, as for me during my own training, the focus has always been on mental illness, on categories of symptoms, and on treatment techniques designed to diminish disorders. Yes, the world is filled with mental pain, and we certainly have an important role to play in helping people to alleviate their suffering. But too often we are doing so without a clear vision of our goal, without exploring what a healthy mind might actually be. Now, how strange, I would soon discover, in fact, that other research field concerned with mental processes also seem to have pursued their fascinating investigations without defining the mind that they were attempting to study. The definition of mind I now use with my patients and students was the result of remarkable collaboration. In 1992, I organized an interdepartmental group at UCLA to study the connections between the brain and the mind. I would recruited 40 scientists from a wide range of fields, including linguistics, computer science, genetics, mathematics, neuroscience, sociology, and of course developmental developmental and experimental psychology. It was the beginning of the decade of the brain, and we were excited to tackle the tough questions about how the physical nature of the brain was somehow related to the subjective nature of the mind. It quickly emerged, however, that each of the disciplines had its own way of seeing reality, and although we could easily agree that the brain was composed of a set of neurons encased in the skull and interconnected with the rest of the body, there was no shared view of the mind, no common vocabulary for discussing it. A computer scientist referred to it as an operating system. A neurologist said that the mind is just the activity of the brain. An anthropologist spoke of a shared social process passed across the generations. A psychologist said that mind is our thoughts and feelings, and so it went until I became worried that the tension from these defensive perspectives in the group might lead to its dissolution. I had to create some acceptable working definition of the mind before we could address our fundamental seminar topic. Here is the definition I ultimately offered to the group. I placed to begin our exploration together. The human mind is a relation and embodied process that regulates the flow of energy and information. That's it. Amazingly, every person in the group from all various fields involved affirmed that this definition fit with their own discipline's approach. The mind is real, and ignoring it does not make it go away. Defining the mind makes it possible for us, both in our daily life and in our many professional pursuits, from psychotherapy and medicine and education to policy for formation and public advocacy, to share a common language about the internal nature of our lives, to be sure that you and I share the same understanding. Let's look in more detail at the elements of this working definition. I'll start at the end and work back toward the beginning. Energy is the capacity to carry out an action, whether it is moving our limbs or thinking a thought. The various forms of energy are explored in physics and can be described in many different ways, but the essential ability to do stuff remains the same. We feel radiant energy when we sit in the sun. We use kinetic energy when we walk on the beach or go for a swim. We utilize neural energy when we think, when we walk, when we listen, when we read. Information is anything that symbolizes
Symbolizes.
symbolizes. Oh, it's a Brazil. I need to check it in US.
Symbolizes.
Symbolizes. That symbolizes something other than itself. You know what happens whenever I see pronunciation? I really like able to have same pronunciation as I listen it. So whenever I am struggling to pronounce something, at the time I just see its pronunciation and I listen it one time, two time, or more than two, so that I can make it same way as they are making it, like symbolizes. I made it like that appropriately or not accurately, but almost approximately. I made the pronunciation like symbolizes, like that. As I told you, I want to learn accent as well, so I'll try to make like that accents something other than itself. Now, these words you are reading are words that you hear are packets of information. The squiggles on the page are not the meaning of the words, and the words that you hear are just sound waves moving air molecules at certain frequencies. Conversely, that stone in itself is not information. The stone has data. We can weigh it and note its color, texture, and chemical compositions. We can imagine the geological age when it was formed and many forces that have shaped it. But our minds are creating that information, and unless someone has carved, let's check its meaning as well. Not meaning, actually pronunciation.
Carved.
Carved, carved, has carved. a picture or a word on its surface, now, unless we think about its history or talk about it with one another. The stone is just a stone. On the other hand, the word stone is a packet of information. Even the idea of stone can have meaning for you. Now, but again, that meaning is created by your mind, now, not by the stone itself. Energy and information go hand in hand in a movement of our minds. Now, we can have direct experience in the moment. For example, being aware of the sensation in our stomach when we are hungry. Right now, I'm also hungry. The flood of emotions when we are upset. Now we can also build on these energy field sensation and feelings by mapping them in the higher areas of our brain. We can know that stomach gurgling.
Gurgling.
I read it correctly. Gurgling means we should eat and then look at the clock and tell ourselves to wait another half hour for lunch. We can interpret the meaning of an emotion, understanding an eruption of sadness in our heart as a response to the loss of loved one, and becoming aware of a resulting sense of isolation and loneliness, and then be motivated to do something about it, perhaps by seeking comfort from a friend. I got message. So sorry. I'll make more things like on my iPhone and MacBook Pro. I did one profile where it says work. So whenever I'm doing work, then at the time it will be like more focused. I won't be able to get any kind of disruption or disturbance. So it's like that. I'm just trying to make myself more concentrated on the things that I'm doing. Like right now, I'm doing live streaming, so I just want to focus on a live streaming. That's it. Like I'm just trying to build habits. I'm just trying to build skills so that I can improve. It's more related to improving myself than getting subscribers or views or get like earning money, because what I noticed here, that if I'm going to commit publicly that I'm going to read every day for 3 hours or 2 hours, or I'm going to do live streaming publicly, then definitely it will force me to do every day without, like, even if I don't have any people watching me. But if I committed myself in front of people, then definitely in my brain, in my mind, there will be one message that, hey man, see, you have to read every day because you have already told people. And if you are not gonna do, then your like a social life, not a social life, like social impression will not be good. So social impression will not be good. I was just trying to find the word, that's why I was taking like long like that. And might be I'll watch the videos again and again and will try to improve myself, like in way of reading, in way of talking, in way of explanation, all those things. I say it again and again because I'm just making my brain remind myself that, hey man, you have to see it again, you have to say it again, you have to like read it again, so that you can get things done very easily. I'm not getting a single views. I'm very upset of it. Nah, it's not like that, but I'm gonna do it every day, like without getting any views or without getting any subscriber, because eventual goal was to read, and I just took it on YouTube. That's it. And we can also build on this energy field sensation and feeling by mapping them in the higher areas of our brain. Now we can know that stomach gurgling means we should eat, then look at the clock and tell ourselves to wait another half hour for lunch. Now we can interpret the meaning of an emotion, understanding an eruption of sadness in our heart as a response to the loss of loved one, becoming aware of a resulting sense of isolation and loneliness, and then be motivated to do something about it, perhaps by seeking comfort from a friend. This is how our mind creates information from the flow of energy, and how information then leads to motivation and the exertion of energy in the new and adaptive ways. In chapter first, I introduced the scientific term representation to convey this notion of information, our ability to represent an emotional reaction to ourselves, to give it a name and a meaning, helps to lift us now out of immediacy of an experience so that we can respond to it effectively. Knowing that our minds regulate the flow of both energy and information enables us to feel the reality of these two forms of mental experience and then to act on them rather than get lost in them. And what does it mean to say energy and information flow? Because they change across time. We can sense their movement from one moment to the next in dynamic fluid moving process. But we don't just observe them, we can step into the river of time to change how those patterns unfold. The mind's regulation creates new patterns of energy and information flow, which we then continue to monitor and modify. This process is the essence of our subjective experience of life. The mind is a regulatory process, monitoring and modifying. Consider the act of driving. To drive or regulate a car, you must both be aware of its motion and its position in space and also be able to influence how it moves. If you have your hands on the wheel but your eyes are shut or focused on your text message, you can make the car move but you are not driving it, because driving means regulating the car's movement, its flow across time. If you have your eyes open but you are sitting in the back seat, you can monitor the movement of the car and make comment like one particular relative, I know, but you can't actually modify its motion yourself, no matter how hard you try. Sorry. If you are wondering that the it is being monitored and then modified by the mind, it is the flow across time of the two elements, energy and information. The mind observes the information and energy flow and then shapes the characteristics, patterns and direction of the flow. Now I'm getting my throat right up. Again, the same thing is happening with me. I just want to complete it as soon as possible. Like there won't be any way you can't complete your 2 hours within 1 hour. That's impossible. So you have to just be in present. You have to read as much as possible so that you can make it interesting. You can make it very good so that you can immerse in reading, and you'll forget about your time. And when times will end, you'll get to know about it that, oh, time is up to end. Each of us has unique mind, unique thoughts, feelings, perceptions, memories, beliefs, and attitudes, and unique set of regulatory patterns. These patterns shape the flow of energy and information inside us, and we also share them with our minds. The powerful finding we'll explore throughout the rest of this book is that we can learn to shape these patterns, to alter our mind and also our brain by first coming to see the mind clearly. We have now arrived at the beginning of the definition. When I say that the mind is embodied, I mean that the regulation of energy and the information flow happens in part in the body. It occurs where we usually imagine our mental life taking place, in the circuits and synapses of the brain inside the skull, but it also occurs throughout the body in the distributed nervous system, which monitors and influences energy and information flowing through our heart and our intestine, and even shapes the activity of our immune system. Finally, the mind is a relational process. Energy and information flow between and among people, and they are monitored and modified in this shared exchange. This is happening right now between you and me, throughout my writing and your reading. Now, these packets of information, words on a page or spoken out loud, energy from my mind and now enter yours. If we were sitting together in the same room, we would exchange all sorts of signals with each other. Symbols we would share in word form or in the non-verbal realm of eye contact, facial expression, tone of voice, posture, and gesture. Relationship now are the way we share energy and information flow, and it is this sharing that shapes in part now how the flow is regulated. Our minds are created within relationship, including the one we have with ourselves, offering this fundamental definition of core aspects of the mind as a process that regulates the flow of energy. yeah, and information was an important starting place for our interdisciplinary study group. This perspective created a foundation for us to explore other dimensions of our embodied and relational mind, and what it means to be human. Our group continued to meet for 4 years, and since that time, an entire field has taken shape to build on this approach to the mind and mental health, called interpersonal neurobiology. It now has its own organizations, educational programs, and professional library of more than a dozen textbooks. At the core of interpersonal neurobiology is our proposal that Mindsight permits us to direct the flow of energy and information toward integration, which we'll be exploring in many of its real world application, is seen to be at the heart of the well-being. I'm getting like, I don't know, like I'm getting very concentrated, or I'm thinking something. This is because of that I'm not able to. Sorry to my yawning. Might be I'm not able to pronounce it correctly. Oh, someone is joined. That's very interesting. Welcome to my live streaming. And you can have a chat over here so that I can understand who joined. So please do chat here, like just say hi or something so that I can understand who joined, who was the person who joined. So very much thank you for it joining. But let me take a deep breath. It's kind of like I have to give my willpower to like sit here for 2 hours, like it's almost 1 hour, and I have to like continue to do it. Then only like I'll be able to continue it. Otherwise, like I'll be like, oh man, I'm not able to do it. Like, in order to do the things, you need to have willpower, and if you know about it, that if you use your willpower, then at the end of the day your willpower will be like very less. If you utilize it, like if you are utilizing it very much, then in the end of the day you won't be having, not in the end of the day, but in the end of your willpower depletion, you won't be able to do anything without your willpower. If that particular thing needs willpower, let's say like I have taken this challenge, and in order to do this challenge I need to have willpower, because it's not very comfortable for me to do live streaming, because as you know that whenever you are doing something that you don't like, or like it's kind of taking energy, or you're like kind of nervous, like being here on live stream, it's kind of very nervous, or taking willpower, much willpower, because it happens usually whenever you are like you are doing like this, because uh, see, I'm having very much filler words. So all of those, like somewhere, like I'm not in my brain somewhere. I think that I'm not good at doing the things, but it's not like that. I'm just having this in my brain. It's not like that. Everybody of us is the same. Like there is like we are doing edit, and there are lots of things that we are doing. Like not we are YouTubers doing, and just because of that they seems to be looking good, but it's not like that. Like we are all same, we have our own life that seems to be like same, almost same, because we are a human being. And that's the thing, like why I'm trying to say is that like I'm trying to read here, and my willpower is saying, or my brain is saying that, oh man, you are reading it, okay, you are reading it, but just complete it, because it's not good, or it's not good, like it's just trying to say me that, oh, just complete it, I have to do something else, or it's just giving me a message, but I'm gonna say it. Hey, listen. Hey, listen, my brain. You have to read it in front of people. You have to do live streaming, because you are gonna do it and you are gonna improve yourself. That's how it will work. Again, there is one person who is listening me, who is being in live streaming. So please do comment so that I can understand, like whoever is watching, like who is the person, so that I can, like I really want to personally join with each of you so that we can make a good place like reading. Let me go back to my book. I'm now on my book. One more thing, that I'm not doing exercise and it is affecting my health. So because of that, I'm definitely gonna take next challenge in the sense, simultaneously I'll be having exercise challenge that I'm gonna do. If you want to join that as well, you can join. But I don't know how I'm gonna like show that, like on live streaming, or I'll record particular clips and will edit and it will show to you. It will depends like how much time it takes. Like if it is taking more than time, like I'm not able to do live streaming at that moment, then I'll definitely record myself somewhere, like somehow, like clips, and will gather those all those clips and will show. That is how, like I'll try to like show you. At the core of interpersonal neurobiology is our personal that mindset permits us to direct the flow of energy and information toward integration. And integration, which we will be exploring in many of its real world applications, is seen to be at the heart of well-being. So the thing is that whenever I talk with you, I feel good, and after talking to you, when I started reading it again, I feel good, really good. Like I feel relaxed that, oh, I'm reading for something like good, or like I'm doing it like just for something good purpose. My hand is like aching. I don't know why. So like there are lots of things that like I'm experiencing. So I want to do exercise. I'm gonna take that challenge, and why I included this in between, because I wanted to like say this thing just to I have conversation with you. Just because of that, I said. And besides that, I really want to improve my communication. That is also one of the part. Just because I'm communicating with you, I'm feeling very relaxed. I'll start reading it again. During this same time, new research into the mind brain body connection has demonstrated how our internal subjective states directly shape our physiological health. The negative impact of the stress hormone cortisol on our immune system's ability to fight infection and even cancer has been established. People exposed to the emotional abuse as children have been found to be the higher risk of developing medical illness later in life. Again, possibly uh, medi- mediated by this stress effects on the body's defense. And studies have shown that mindful awareness practices can improve the immune system's responsiveness. One more thing, that really sorry for my background, because I won't say, or I can't, as I held one of the children that, hey, go away, because I was getting frustrated because I'm doing something like something for myself, something for like everybody's self, everybody in the sense my family, and they are interrupting me, and just because of that, like I was getting frustrated that why they are doing what they are, why they are not understanding. Like it's kind of, as we yesterday read, that our mind goes in our automatic way. So it happened with me, like I went in automatic way. But right now, as I'm listening their background noise, even though I'm like okay with that like I'm able to show the background noise, it's okay. Like we are everybody having background noises, we are everybody having same way. So why should I do care about, like, oh man, what people are gonna think about it? Yes, people do gonna think about it. It will affect on my live streaming, because if you are not gonna able to listen me, then definitely you won't be like be here. You don't want to listen me like that. But it's kind of thing that I have to bear for a while. I'll take some solution for that. I'll find somewhere where I can read, where there will no voice, no background noises, and all those things, so that I can make my live stream more interesting, more productive, more valuable, so that everybody can listen it, so that everybody can stay here and read with me, so that they can also get something from themselves by reading a book. There was one of the person who was stayed for 5 minutes and went out. I don't know who was that. So please do comment if someone is watching or something so that I can understand the thing. Who is there? Do comment or do chats so that I'll be able to understand if is there anyone who joined a new person or like somehow it will like make me motivate in short because see if you are doing something and people are appreciating it then you will build your confidence. That is how it works basically. I want to acknowledge, however, the bringing brain science into the day-to-day practice of psychotherapy. Teaching and medicine isn't for everyone, nor is everyone for it. A senior clinician once said to me, Dan, I have never seen a prefrontal cortex in my life, so why should I think about never now? Another confessed, thinking about the brain makes me feel stupid and incompetent, and I'm to say it in my ways to make a change. I've also been at professional meetings where clinical colleagues have told me that this approach is bad since we don't know everything about the brain. Why should a therapist know anything about it? Another lecturer said that thought it was polluting the interpersonal space of therapy to bring in ideas from science about the brain. These concerns I really didn't get. Why not build a framework as we have done with the interpersonal neurology, which is based solidly on science but deeply honors subjectivity and the importance of our interpersonal world. On the other hand, some neuroscientists are reluctant not to embrace the notion of mind as more than an outcome of the activity of the brain. Now, the brain is measurable entity with weight and volume, physical properties and allocation. But where do we find the mind in physical space? How do we weight it or assign a number to its feature? At one meeting, a brain scientist declared we should never ask a question that cannot be quantified, not to be outdone. A student of his raised the ant well, we should never even think a thought that cannot be quantified. As this an anthropologist friend of mine turned a few shades of purple until he finally took a breath and expressed his stern disagreement. Many of us then gave an unquantifiable sign of relief. Of course, sophisticated brain scans now allow us to do some of the quantifying. We can measure degrees of blood flow in the brain, the density of neural connections in a particular area, or amplitude of electrical activity at a certain time. And yes, you can see in the minding the brain sections that I have placed between the chapters. There is exciting new science tracing the brain activity correlated with some of our most intimate experiences. But much of the internal world is not quantifiable in absolute terms. Now, how do we measure meanings? Now, how do we assign a numerical values to a feeling or an intention? How can we quantify our sense of connections to one another or feeling felt of being seen? These discussions are not just academic. They are crucial to how we define our reality. Modern science is founded on measurement. It is a discipline based on statistics and numerical analysis that can be replicated and verified by objective observers. The subjective world of the mind, however, is observable primarily in qualitative terms, often based on unique first-person accounts by the person who actually has the mind in question. If you stick to the numbers game, the mind can easily disappear. When I am in this challenging, if sometimes frustrating academic discussion, I can't help remembering my experience beneath the either dome. Numerous esteemed faculty members in medicine and surgery seemed to live as if the mind did not exist. These were reasonable men and women, brilliant in their field. How could something as real as the mind become so invisible to their minds? The mind is broader than the brain, reveals in relationship, and is pregnant with possibilities. Yes, this subjective core of our lived experience cannot be held in our hands or photographed with even the most majestic of machines, and the mind can easily be lost if we focus only on the domain of the physical. We can wipe away our tears and not leave even a trace of the mind that made meaning, that felt feelings, that enabled us to know we were alive and filled with pain or joy. When we perceive the mind, we are sensing something even more than our internal worlds or the inner lives of others. We have now refined our concepts of mindsight beyond our initial description of it as a combination of insight and empathy. While this is an accessible and important place to start, it is just the beginning of a fuller story. What mindsight does is enable us to sense and shape energy and information flow. That's the basic definition. Basic definition, the deeper truth, the fuller picture. With mindsight, we gain perception and knowledge of regulation, mind sharing, relationship, and a meditating neural mechanism at the heart of our lives. Our lives means yours and minds. Mindsight takes away the superficial boundaries that separates us and enables us to see and that we are each part of an interconnected flow, a wider whole. By viewing mind, brain, and relationship as a fundamentally three dimension of one reality of aspects of energy and information flow, we see our brain, our human experience with truly new eyes. Sometimes what happens, like I'm very able to read, but sometimes it happens that I'm not very able to read. Like it's not frustrating, like it's kind of like it makes my throat dried up, look kind of not nervousness, but it's kind of impatient, I can say, because whenever I have to complete these 2 hours, like I feel like I should be able to complete it without knowing, like it should be like in boom. But it doesn't happen. If you set 2 hours, then definitely it will take 2 hours. It's just state of your mind that feel the things. That is the thing. Sometimes it feels like time is going very fast, but sometimes it feels like time is going very slow. It is not like going to end very soon. This is how it works. Again, I'm gonna check my live streaming so that I can see if is there anyone. Oh, somebody joined. That's a very good thing. Welcome to my live stream again. Whoever is watching, just do comment. I'll chat. It's 1:17. So I'm gonna end my live stream earlier today before 12 o'clock, and I'm feeling very good about it because I have started my live stream very early, and from tomorrow as well I'm going to start it very early. I'll wake up, try to do exercise. I'm not committing myself to do exercise like after waking up I'm gonna do the exercise immediately. I'm not committing it, but if I'm gonna commit it, then definitely I'm gonna wake up myself, and if I'm gonna make it like commit, then definitely I'm gonna do that. You'll get to know how much I'll be doing the things when I'm going to commit, as I have committed this reading 91 days every morning, like at least for 2 hours, as well as in my personal, without on live streaming I'm going to read my books for 3 hours. So I'm doing that. It's been like 26 days. It's 27th day today that I have to complete, and I'm gonna do it. Like almost it will be completed because right now two goals are getting completed at the moment. One is live streaming on YouTube, another one is completing my 3 hours every day. That's like reading book and doing live streaming. Both of them are getting done simultaneously. It's for, let's read, minding the brain, riding the resonance circuits. It's folk wisdom that couples in a long and happy relationships look more and more alike as the years go by. Peer closely at those old photographs, and you'll see that the couples haven't actually grown similar noses or chins. Instead, they have reflected each other's expressions so frequently and so accurately that the hundreds of tiny muscles attachment to their skin have reshaped their faces to mirror their union. Now, how this happens gives us a window on one of the most fascinating recent discoveries about the brain and about how we come to feel felt by one another. Now, some of what I'll describe here is still speculative, but it can shed light on the most intimate ways we experience mindsight in our daily lives. Right now what is happening, like there are people outside of my room, they are like calling me by my name, like my nickname actually they are calling, but they don't know if I'm doing live streaming or not because they are children's, so they are not aware of the things. So if you are able to listen their voice, so sorry for that, sorry for background noises, because people like to love me. Sorry to like appreciate by myself, like my it's my habit sometimes, like I do appreciate, but it's not good here on live streaming because people will criticize me that oh he's just being like appreciated by himself. It's not good, so it's okay, sometimes it's good, okay, to appreciate yourself. You can also appreciate. If you're not going to appreciate yourself, who is going to do that for you? And so don't wait for others to appreciate you, just appreciate yourself and be happy in your life. That's the thing, that's the message of today's live streaming, I should say. But it is not actually, it's all about reading a book and enjoying readings. So if you're there, do comment, do chats with me. I'll be able to see you that oh this is the person that is watching me, who's reading with me, and I'll be able to like make myself oh people are listening me, that's amazing. Let's do live streaming again every day so that me and people can learn, grow together. That's all about for message, not for this live stream. There is like still 40 minutes to go. I'll read those, and in my brain somewhere I'm thinking that oh man, when I'm going to complete these, but eventually my brain is taking that oh yes, I have to enjoy this moment because this is how it will work. In the mid 1990s, a group of Italian neuroscientists were studying the premotor area of monkey's cortex. Now, they were using implanted electrodes to monitor individual neurons. And when the monkey ate a peanut, a certain electrode fired. No surprise there. Now, that's what they expected. But what happened next has changed the course of our insight into the mind. Now, when the monkey simply watched one of the researchers eat a peanut, the same motor neuron fired. Even more startling, the researchers discovered that this happened only when the motion being observed was goal directed. Somehow, the circuits they had discovered were activated only by an intentional act. I was just thinking about the subscriber, if I get any subscriber or not. Like there is in my mind somewhere that how many subscribers are there, like that concurrent viewers it's showing zero, and but I can see here that I got one viewer, so I don't know why is it so. Mm, but that's amazing. Person is like watching, and then it's like literally quitting. Intentional act. This mirror neuron system has since been identified in the human being and is now considered the root of empathy. Beginning from the perception of a basic behavioral intention, our more elaborated human prefrontal cortex enables us to map out the minds of others. Now, our brain uses sensory information to create a representation of others' minds, just as they use sensory input to create images of the physical world. The key is that mirror neurons respond only to an act with intention, with a predictable sequence or sense of purpose. If I simply lift up my hand and wave it randomly, your mirror neurons will not respond. But if I carry out any act, you can predict from experience. Your mirror neurons will figure out what I intend to do before I do it. So when I lift up my hand with a cup in it, you can predict at a synaptic level that I intend to drink from the cup. Not only that, the mirror neurons in the premotor area of your frontal cortex will get you ready to drink as well. Now we see an act and we ready ourselves to imitate it at the simplest level. That's why we get thirsty when other drink, and why we yawn when other yawns. At the most complex level, mirror neurons help us understand the nature of the culture and how our shared behaviors bind us together, mind to mind. Now I get to know, like if someone is yawning in front of you, you also get to know that. Not get to know, you also find yourself yawning. But you know why it happens, because we have some neurons, I guess we call it as mirror neurons, that get triggers, and just because of that they make us to yawn. Oh sorry, like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm very excited to talk to you. Yeah, like that's the thing. That's very amazing. If I'm getting some excitement, then it's very good for me as well as people who is listening to me. There is someone who is going. Like I don't know who is it, but please do comment whoever it is. I just want to know like who is this person who is joined, so that I can get to know them. I'm gonna go again here on my live, not a live, on a book. So this is the book. The internal maps created by mirror neurons are automatic. They do not require consciousness or effort. Now, we are hardwired from birth to detect sequences and make maps in our brains of internal state. The intentional stance of other people. And this mirroring is cross model. It operates in all sensory channels, not just vision, so that a sound, a touch, a smell can cue us to the internal state and intentions of another. By embedding the mind of another into our own firing patterns, our mirror neurons may provide the foundation for our mindset maps. The resonance circuitry includes the mirror neurons system (MNS), mirror neuron system (MNS), the superior temporal cortex, the insula cortex, not visible in this drawing, but linking these areas to the inner limbic region and the middle prefrontal cortex. Now let's take another step. Based on these sensory inputs, now we can mirror not only the behavioral intentions of others, but also their emotional states. In other words, this is the way we not only imitate others' behavior but actually come to resonate with their feelings, the internal mental flow of their minds. Now we sense not only what actions is coming next, but also the emotional energy that underlies the behavior. So while reading these, I was thinking one more thing, like it happens with me, but after a certain period of time, I will be very concentrate on whatever I'm reading. But what I was thinking, let me tell you, is that I noticed one thing when I explain the things to you, explain in the sense when I like try to talk with you, then it's very more interesting that oh, this is like I'm reading, and whatever I'm thinking about the paragraph or whatever I'm reading in my brain, if I explain to you, then it's kind of like I'm talking to you and I'm getting that same thing very much in my mind, so that I'll be like, oh yeah, that is the thing, this is how it works, and you also get to know, and that is how I'm gonna make reading interesting, I guess, for me right now. But for you, I need to figure out if you are being interested the way I'm reading or not, because most probably you will be interested in reading with me, because when I'm going to explain the things, then definitely you'll also like to listen it if you are able to understand it, if I'm able to convey the things that I'm understanding. Like sometimes what happens, what I'm understanding and what I'm trying to explain you or convey you, it's kind of different thing, different in the sense there could be some like differences in between those, because I do know about myself that somehow I'm not able to convey my thoughts properly. I shouldn't say this, because I earlier said our brain listens to us whatever we say. So I'll make some other sentence for this. Like I know myself, somewhere I'm learning how to explain to you, and after a certain period of time I'll be able to explain in a very good manner. And if we experience the same thing what I am experiencing while reading whatever the thoughts in my minds. And if I made you to experience the same thing, then definitely you are gonna like it, you are gonna be with me, and you are gonna like to read with me or like to listen me. That's how it will work. Oh, that's amazing. I'll try to do it from tomorrow as I'm doing it, but I need to have more things. I need to learn how to explain the things. I'll learn it, like I'll capture those as well moment how I'm learning those, so that I can show you that see I tried these and how, like because of that particular thing, this is the result. I'm able to explain the thing. That is how it will work, I guess I'm gonna do that. Let's see how it works. If I'm having a time, if I have a time, then definitely I'm gonna do that. As you know that I'm also a developer, not also like I'm a developer. I have to work, so the rest of the time that goes into like working like professionally. So except that if I'm gonna get time, I'm gonna work on my way of explanation, so that I can explain you the thing that I'm experiencing in my mind. I want to make you to experience the same thing. So let's see how it goes. But yeah, it's amazing. Someone is joining and going. I don't know who is it, but yeah, it's very interesting that someone is joining. So very cool. I have to check it again that if someone is here or not. Like someone is joining, going. But it's very interesting because what happens like when I'm reading at the time, if someone joined at the time, I won't be able to get to know that, not I, but they won't be able to get to know that what I'm doing, what like it's going very bored, like a kind of boring thing, which is going like, oh, he's just reading and he's not explaining. It's kind of very bored. But if I'm speaking with you at the time, then might be you'll try to understand that what it is. But besides that, I'll add introduction video on my YouTube channel. So if someone joined and if they wanted to like understand what this channel is about, then they can like understand from that particular channel. Well, not a particular channel. It's, oh, I'm getting frustrated. My like way of expressions and all of wings is being changed, but I will change all of those no matter. Like I'm learning, you are also gonna learn. That is how we are gonna grow. So that's the thing. Now let me go back. Where I was reading. Now let's take another step. Based on the sensory inputs, we can mirror not only the behavior intentions of others, but also their emotional states. As I already read it and explain based on that. In other words, this is the way we not only imitate others' behaviors, but actually come to resonate with their feelings, the internal mental flow of their minds. We sense not only what action is coming next, but also the emotional energy that underlies the behavior. In developmental terms, in the behavioral patterns we see in our caregivers are straightforward. We can then map sequences with security, knowing what might happen next, embedding intentions of kindness and care, and so create in ourselves a mindsight lens that is focused and clear. If, on the other hand, we have had parents who are confusing and hard to read, our own sequencing circuits may create distorted maps. So, from our earliest days, the basic circuitry of mind can be laid down with a solid foundation or created on shaky ground. I once organized an a pre-disciplinary tank of researchers to explore how the mind might use the brain to perceive itself. Now, one idea we discussed is that we make maps of intentions using our cortically based mirror neurons and then transfer this information downward to our subcortical regions. A neural circuit called the insula seems to be the information superhighway between the mirror neurons and the limbic areas, which in turn send messages to the brainstem and the body proper. This is how we can come to resonate psychologically with others. Now, how even our respiration, blood pressure, and heart rate can rise and fall in sync with another's internal state. These signals from our body, brainstem, the insula, system, and the limbic areas, which in turn send messages to the and limbic areas, then travel back up the insula to the middle prefrontal areas. I have come to call these a set of circuits from mirror neurons, the subcortical regions, back up to the middle prefrontal areas, the resonance circuits. This is the pathway that connects us to one another. Notice what happens when you are at a party with friends. If you approach a group that is laughing, you'll probably find yourself smiling or chunking even before you have heard the joke. Or perhaps you have gone to dinner with people who have suffered a recent loss. Without their saying anything, you may begin to sense a feeling of heaviness in your chest, a welling up in your throat, tears in your eyes. Scientists call this emotional contagion. The internal state of others, from joy and play to sadness and fear, directly affect our own state of mind. This contagion can even make us interpret unrelated events with a particular bias, so that for example, after we have been around someone who is depressed, we interpret someone else's seriousness as sadness. For therapists, it's crucial it's crucial to keep this bias in mind. Otherwise, a prior session may shape our internal state so much that we aren't open and receptive to the new person with whom we need to be resonating. Like how much it is being completed, let me check. It's like 1.5 hour that is being done. Like why I'm telling this, because like I guess there are some people who want to go, and just because of that, I guess like I have to end this live stream here. Like it's been more than 1.5 hour, so it's almost like as I told earlier that like I have to complete like almost 2 hours. I can start like live streaming again, but it's not good because like it's kind of thing that is the thing, like what should I do, I'm not understanding. Sometimes it happens because like I have taken the decision, or like I have committed myself to complete like 2 hours every day. But let me read, like if I'm gonna get another voice or another calling from the person, then definitely I have to end these streams. But I guess like I'm going to almost complete 2 hours today, but let's see. And to new person with whom we need to be resonating. Our awareness of another person's state of mind depends on how well we know our own. The insula brings the resonating state within us upward into the middle prefrontal cortex, where we make a map of our internal world, so we feel others' feelings by actually feeling our own. We notice the belly fill with laughter at the party, or with sadness at the funeral home. All of our subcortical data, our heart rate, breathing, and muscle tensions, our limbic core, coding of emotions, travels up the insula to inform the cortex of our state of mind. Now, this is the brain reasons that people who are more aware of their bodies have been found to be more empathic. The insula is the key. When we can sense our own internal state, the fundamental pathway of resonating with others is open as well. Why I'm saying to end this live streaming, because like they wanted to have something from my room, and I have like closed the door just because of that. They are not able to like do that. Might be she'll come in my room, and you will be able to see it. Bebo, I'm gonna say to her that she can pick up the things from the room, because I'm feeling like, oh, I'm making another person to wait for me, so it's not good. Like I'll find some other ways, like she's my like niche, so I have to take care of those as well. Bebo, okay, she's not here, but okay, let me read it again. The mind we first see in our development is the internal state of our caregiver, We go, and she smiles, we laugh, and his face lights up. So we first know ourselves as reflected in other. One of the most interesting idea we discussed in our study group is that our resonance with others may actually precede our awareness of ourselves developmentally and evolutionarily. Our modern self-awareness circuitry may be built upon the more ancient resonance circuits that root has in our social world. How then do we discern who is me and who is you? And the scientists in our group suggested that we may adjust the location and firing pattern of the prefrontal images to perceive our own mind, increase the registration of our own bodily sensation combined with a decrease in our mirror neuron response may help us know that these tears are mine, not yours, or that this anger is indeed from me, not from you. This may seem like a purely philosophical and theoretical question until you are in the midst of marital conflict and find yourself arguing about who is the angry one, you or your spouse. And certainly, as a therapist, if I do not track the distinction between me and other, I can become flooded with my patient's feelings, lose my ability to help, and also burn out quickly. When resonance literally becomes mirroring, when we confuse me with you, then objectivity is lost. Resonance requires that we remain differentiated, that we know who we are while also becoming linked. We let our own internal states be influenced by but not become identical with those of the other persons. It will take much more research to elucidate the exact way our mindsight maps make this distinction. This distinction, but the basic issues are clear. The energy and information flow that we sense both in ourselves and in others writes the resonance circuits to enable mindsight. As I consider the resonance circuits, two mind lessons stand out for me. One is that becoming open to our body's states, the feeling in our heart, the sensation in our belly, the rhythm of our breathing is a powerful source of knowledge. The insular flow that brings up this information and energy colors our cortical awareness, shaping how we reason and make decisions. Now we cannot successfully ignore our suppressed these subcortical springs. Now becoming open to them is a gateway to clear mindsight. The second lesson is that relationships are woven into the fabric of our interior world. Now we come to know our own minds through our interaction with others, our mirror neuron perceptions, and the resonance they create act quickly and often outside of awareness. Mindsight permits us to invite these facts and automatic source of our mental life into the theater of consciousness. As we welcome the neural reality of our interconnected lives, we can gain new clarity about who we are, what shapes us, and how we in turn can shape our lives. I'll read again. Like we have to read almost 20 more minutes. So I'll read it and I will end this live streaming. So let's start reading it again. The fourth chapter, the complexity choir. Let's check its meaning, and not meaning actually. I'll check its pronunciation, because meaning I'll check after sometime in the sense I'm gonna read this book again, because I think that in a way.
Choir. Choir.
Choir. Choir. In a way that if your heart are getting something again and again, then definitely after a certain period of time you will be able to grab that very easily. You will be able to understand that very easily. Sometimes I do make accent, so I like to do that, so sorry for that if you don't like it. What is a healthy mind? It is simply the absence of symptoms and dysfunctions. Or is there something more to life well lived. How can we embrace the diversity of behavior, temperament, values, and orientation across a wide range of cultures and still come up with a coherent definition of health, just as some scientists are reluctant to define the mind? Now, some people say that we shouldn't define mental health at all because it is authoritarian. I'll check its pronunciation again.
Authoritarian.
Authoritarian. Because it is authoritarian to do so. Now we shouldn't tell others how to be healthy. But how do we account for the universal striving for happiness? How do we understand the cross-culturally recognizable ease of well-being? Positive psychology has offered an important corrective to the disease model by identifying the characteristics of happy people, such as gratitude, compassion, open-mindedness, and curiosity. But is there some unnamed quality that underlies all of these individual strengths? Over the last 20 years, I have come to believe that integration is the key mechanism beneath both the absence of illness and the presence of well-being. The integration, the linkage of differentiated elements of system eliminates a direct pathway toward health. It's the way we avoid a life of dull, boring rigidity on the one hand, or explosive chaos on the other. Choir chaos.
Chaos.
Chaos. Okay. Chaos. Choir. Chaos. Now, on the other, in a phase we'll explore in a great depth in part 2. We can learn to detect when integration is absent or insufficient and to develop effective strategies to promote differentiation and then linkage. The key to this transformation is cultivating the capacity for mindsight. In new interventions based on the approach of interpersonal neurobiology, Mindsight has helped many people shift the flow of energy and information in their lives toward integrations. But why is integration such a powerful tool for transformation? My search for an answer to this question has led to some surprising and practical realization. 7 views. Again, someone joined and went back. I don't know why it's happening. So, when did I start? It's okay. Almost we are up to end now. 46. Yeah, we are almost up to end. So I'm gonna why I'm seeing it again and again. First of all, I don't have connected this MacBook to my monitors, and just because of that, I'm not able to see if someone is able to see it or not, if someone is able to join or not. Not able actually if someone joined or not, as well as there are some relatives that came in my house, so I'm just I wanted to I guess they are going, and so I had to go for that as well. So just because of that, I'm just taking it again and again that if it's completed or not. So that is the thing. I had to just read for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, I guess. And then after that, I'm gonna end. And there are lots of things that I have to say. Might be I'll create a video as I told you, but I'm not getting a time. No, not getting a time actually. I have to learn editing, so I can record that as well and post it so that you'll get to know what I'm doing or how I'm doing the things in order to grow myself, what I'm doing actually, so that you can also follow the same thing and you'll also get to know yeah, this is the thing that you have to do, that and that way you are also gonna grow in the same way. Let me go back where I was reading. I was reading here. In the new intervention, this I have completed. Let me go back. Not go back. The choir science. In these days, before I define mental well-being in my lectures, I often ask for volunteers to sign in complexity choir. Experienced singers usually break the ice and compounding up to the front of the room, while others, initially more reticent, slowly find their way to join in. Whether my audience is parents or teachers, therapists or scientists, I know that the best way to help them grasp the power of integration is through immersion in direct experience. My first request is that the newly assembled choir members all sign the same note at the same time, simply humming along in unions. Now, someone comes up with a mind range pitch and they quickly settle into a uniform sound after about half a minute. I hold up my hand to stop them and then make another request. This time I ask them to cover their ears so they can't hear one another, and then at my signal launch individually into whatever song with whatever words they would like to sing. The audience usually laughs when the singers begins, but they quickly get restive.
Restive.
restive Rest you. So I hold up my hand again. Finally, I ask the singers to choose a song most of them are likely to know, then to sing it together, harmonizing freely as the spirit moves them. This may be the ultimate pickup assemble, but it's remarkable to hear what happen as a group of teachers or psychotherapists sail into. Oh, Susanna, your amazing grace, or roar, your bird. And it's fascinating to me that more than half the time the group chooses Amazing Grace, which apparently is one of the most harmoniously balanced songs in the Western tradition. Once the melody is established, individual voices begin to emerge, weaving their harmonies above and below, playing off one another, moving intuitively toward a crescendo before the final notes. Faces light up in choir, and audience like we are all swept into the flow of singers' energy and aliveness. At these times, people have said, and I have experienced this as well. There is a palpable sense of vitality that fills the room. At that moment, we are experiencing integration at its acoustic best. Each member of the choir has his or her unique voice, while at the same time they are linked together in complex and harmonious whole. Now, one is never quite certain where the choir will take the song, but the surprise simply highlight the pleasure of a similar shared melody. Now, this balance between differentiated voices on the one hand and their linkage on the other is the embodiment of integration. And what about the first exercise? As Cheverly could predict, the single note humming is unchanging, rigid, and after a while, dull and boring. The initial excitement and risk of volunteering gives way to the monotony of the task. The singers may be linked, but they cannot express their uniqueness, their individuality. When differentiating is blocked, integration cannot occur. Without the movement toward integration, the entire system moves away from complexity, away from harmony, and into rigidity. On the other hand, when the singers close their ears and sings whatever they want, what emerges is cacophony and a chaotic outpouring of sound that often creates a sense of anxiety and distress in the listeners. Now there is no linkage, no only differentiation. When integration is blocked in this way, we also move away from complexity, away from harmony, but at this time we move toward chaos, 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 chaos.
Chaos.
Chaos, not rigidity. As the singers settle into their seats again, I sum up the point of the exercise. It is the middle way between chaos and rigidity, the flow of independent voice linked together in harmony that maximizes both complexity and vitality. This is the essence of integration. Okay, that's it for today. I guess it's almost 2 hour completed. I have completed as I have started this live streaming when I guess it was something like related to two, not a two, like a 9:34 or something like that. But I can see here in my live streaming, like it's 1:53 minutes, 1 hour 53 minutes. So I don't know, like if it's almost 2 hours or not. But yeah, this is the thing that I have completed today. Let me read it again. Like, see how mind is working, man. Like I'm live here. I'm not acting. Yeah, I can say I'm not acting, like whatever I'm feeling, that I'm like getting here automatically. So what I'm trying to say, how we behave, how the thing works, how our brain works, actually it works in automatic way. Like in my past there are some of the like experiences where I did the things which like challenges, I can say, like for 2 hours, 1 hours. Not I didn't do that, but likewise I did some other like activities where I was literally needed willpower, and just because of that willpower I completed. But in between that, I was using my willpower to complete those activities. At the same time, in my brain, there were some activities or neurons, those got fired, and those neurons was telling me that, oh, you have to end this now and you have to go right now. Same thing is happening with me. Like in my brain there is something going that is saying me that you have to end this live streaming now, it's almost done, you have to go and just rest or do something else, because it's not comfortable for you right now. You have almost completed your 2 hours and you can end this live streaming. Like it is just saying me like this. Like I'm not getting it, but I'm getting that feeling, oh, I should end this now, I should end this now. Like it's been like 30 minutes since then, I've been feeling like that I should end this now. But after a certain period of time, I'll get used to it. I'll enjoy each and everything, whatever I'm doing in my live streaming, and I'll be like, oh, boom, 2 hours is end. I have to do more. Like it's 3 hour, 4 hour, because I will be lagging that. Like there will be like time that I will love it. So this is how it works. Our brain works like that way. And why whatever I explained here, why I explained this, because I have to complete my 2 hours, even though it is not getting completed. Like see how I'm behaving. Like this is how it works. The like emotions, like if you want to master emotions, then you have to feel it, and if you are feeling it, you have to concentrate on it. And if you are concentrating, you'll get to know the reason of that, you will get to know why it is happening, then you can work on that. Like right now I'm feeling that I have to end this live stream, this is one kind of feeling. But after a certain period of time, if I notice it, if I concentrate on these feelings, then I'll make myself understand, my subconscious as well conscious mind, I'll make myself as well as subconscious and conscious mind to make understand that, see, you don't have to run away from these things. This is thing that you have to enjoy. If you are going to do it, then you have to enjoy it. Like why you are running away from the things? You have to just keep reading, enjoy it, explain with people, so that people can listen it, so people can like understand the things, and you'll be able to listen things. That is how it will work. You don't have to run away from these things. That is how you have to do it, and it will happen after a certain period of time. Let me read at least one page because I want to complete. Integration is mentioned almost as an insight in numerous disciplines, from the study of emotions and social functions to research into the brain itself. Yet none of these fields seem to give integration a central role, nor do they clarify why integration would be a good thing in life. Take for example the various scientific fields that study emotion. You might be surprised that there is no universal definition of emotions, even among emotion researchers. When I was reviewing the science of emotion for my first book, I discovered formulation like this: emotion is a fundamental part of the person across the lifespan. Emotion connects body to brain. Emotion links one person to another. Each of these perspectives described an integrative process. Yet integration itself was not discussed directly. Perhaps it was being an outsider to emotion research that helped me to see the common feature, understand underlying the required distinct definitions of what emotion is, what it does, and how it manifests itself in our lives across time. What role could integration and emotion play in our definition of the mind as an embodied and relation Relational process. Now, why do people use terms such as emotional well-being or emotionally healthy or emotionally close to label mentally healthy states? And what about such expressions as emotional breakdown or emotionally upset? As a psychotherapist, I would worked closely with many people in states of distress, states that to me seem to be characterized as either rigidity or chaos, or both. Individuals might be stuck in depression or paralyzed by fear. They would find themselves swept into manic rages or flooded with traumatic memories. Sometimes they would fluctuate between these extremes, stuck in whirlwind of energy and information, terrified by minds out of control. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching my live streaming. Thank you for watching with me. Thank you for reading with me. That's all about today, and we'll bring something new, different tomorrow. Let's see what I'm going to bring something new tomorrow. I'll make you update all over the things, and that's it for today. And thank you very much again. And I'm gonna end this live streaming.